Okay, we're live. Hi everyone, good evening, good morning to people joining us on YouTube and on Zoom as well. So
Welcome to the Huberman.
let us know if you're here. Just give us a hi, introduce yourself, your name and the city that you're from. My name is Aparna. I'm going to be your host for today. And we have an interesting session lined up for today. So you're going to understand how you can navigate and convert your product manager interviews, right? I'm sure you're as excited as I am. Hi, everyone on YouTube. Just quickly introduce yourself, give your name and the city that you're from so that, we know you a little better. My name is Aparna, like I said, and we're streaming from Bangalore. James here is streaming from James, uh, Denver.
Right, Denver, Colorado.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. James is streaming from Denver. Sarabjeet, hi. Fatima from Bangalore as well. Michael from Houston. Okay. Nice to have you, Jitender. Atik, Farhan. Nice to have you. Chris, nice to have you. It's amazing. Sheetal from Hyderabad. Hi. Hiba, good to have you as well. No, it won't be sounding double now because I had my phone audio on for a bit, so you wouldn't be hearing me twice. So be rest assured. Yes. Vishal from Pune, nice to have you. Quickly, just give me your quick introductions. And while you're there, while you're giving your introductions, now because this session is about interviews, we would like to know what your concerns are, right? Of course, we'll ask you questions of how much experience you carry and all of that, but just for us to know you a little more, a little better, let us know what your concern is in becoming or cracking a product manager interviews, right? So, James, you should be able to see these results. And when I stop the poll, I'll share it with. Okay, so I think the audio is just fine. Someone on YouTube says the audio is double. Think, I don't know. Is my audio fine? I think it's okay, right? I mean,
Yes, it sounds good. I think the YouTube live is a little bit behind our actual
oh yeah,
speech. Maybe that could be where they're
yeah,
saying.
that could be a possible reason. All right, Marisa, thank you so much. Audio via Zoom is good. Great, great. Just quickly answer the poll question. Let us know. Sometimes it can be the case that you find the interviewer or the interview questions irrelevant, but whether it's skills or whether it's confidence, whatever your issue is, just let us know on the poll. Also, people on YouTube, let us know what your concern is. You feel you don't have the right set of skills, you feel you don't have the confidence, whatever the issue is, let us know on the chat. Okay. Okay, great. So I'm just going to end the poll right here and share these results. James, you should be able to see these results. And while I'm keeping these results, just some quick ground rules about the session. So this session is going to be helping you understand, also giving you strategies, tips to follow in an interview, for preparing for an interview, and why exactly the role of a product manager is important, right? So remember, you might have a lot of questions to ask because this is about interviews. Please make sure you put your questions in the Q&A box. Now, the chat box, you can interact with, James and get maybe just engage with him during the session. But let's say you have a specific question to ask, make sure you use the Q&A box, and the Q&A box will have questions. I mean, you'll be able to see questions from everyone, right? So remember, if there's someone who has already posted the same question, you can simply avoid and then maybe post another one that comes up in your mind. And also, once you've done posting a question, please do not repost it because it's just going to spam the Q&A box, and we might miss other questions as well. So just make sure you use the Q&A box effectively. And let's say you missed something and you couldn't hear something, do not worry. We're streaming this live on YouTube. We're also going to be giving you the recording in the next 24 hours along with a webinar certificate. Yeah. So this webinar certificate will contain your full name. So towards the end, I'm going to collect your full name and we'll be sending out the certificate to you in the next 24 hours. Okay. Right. So now that the ground rules are clear and we've also seen the concerns that a lot of people have, I'm just going to launch another quick question on how much overall experience you carry again, just to know you guys better. Yeah. So here you go. Let's quickly answer this question on how much experience you have. It can be, and people on YouTube, you can use the live chat to do this. Okay. Yes. So we'll keep this live for another minute and we'll head on and start the session. Yes, so towards the end of the session, we'll also talk about the UCSD Product Management Professional Program and take you through the enrollment steps and how this program can help you achieve your goals in becoming a product manager. Yeah, but more about that later. And just a quick thing, make sure you actually answer the poll fast so that we can actually proceed with the session. Okay, cool. So I'm also going to share these results. Let these results stay. Quick introduction about Simplilearn, and then I'll introduce our expert to you, and then we'll get started with the agenda of the session, right? So Simplilearn offers skills in various domains: product management, UI, UX design, project management, and the other tech domains that you see. So you've got a bunch of certifications, a bunch of long-term PG programs. We've also launched a few programs that prepare you for a certain career path, whether it's for data analyst, whether it's for data scientist, or whether it's for a project manager, whatever that is. You will be able to find all of these courses on simplylearn.com, right? But today's agenda is to take you through this long-term program with UCSD and how this program exactly bridges the skill gap in becoming a product manager. Okay. And to take you through the session, we've got James with us, who has been kind to accept our invitation and become our expert speaker today. So James carries more than 15 years of experience in the product management field, and he's also had experience in having possessing senior management roles in various tech companies where he's developed products, shaped product vision, and also led product strategy. And he's also a passionate mentor and coach, and he loves coaching and mentoring product managers, aspiring product managers like you. So he's also a trainer with Simplilearn in some of our courses. So welcome, James, and I'll also let you introduce yourself, and then we'll proceed with the session.
All right. Thank you very much, Parna, for that great introduction. Yeah, so, I like to tell people my story really easily is I'm a hairstylist that
Yeah.
turned into a product manager. I stayed in the industry. I've been in the industry over 30 plus years. I did 12 in management, business growth, and then I moved into product management, which is software management for hair salons. So I was in that one for 20 years. And so that's where I really gathered my knowledge as it relates to product management and, just have really turned into a lifelong learner. And so a lot of the knowledge that I've gained over the years, I just continue to gather and gain and, just look forward to sharing it with folks and helping them on their journey. But thank you.
Great. Great to have you, James. And let me just take you guys through the agenda of today's session. So we'll understand what the role of a product manager looks like, and we'll understand what an interviewer really seeks in you. What do they expect if you want to become a product manager, and some strategies for you to prepare and crack these roles and just navigate a few scenarios in the interviews. Of course, you might have specific questions to ask on specific scenarios that you faced or issues, concerns that you may have faced. So we'll restrict and kind of do that in the Q&A session, but feel free to post these questions while the session is going on, right? So with that, let's just get started and understand what the role of a product manager is. So James, if you can take them through this.
Yeah, so the core role of a product manager is really you are the bridge between the user and the desire to solve the problem, right? So you're the voice of the customer. You're the one that speaks on their behalf. So I kind of mentioned a little bit of my background, and because I started as a user of software for hair salons, right? That transition moving into that role was a natural transition. So I think product managers, being that bridge and also making sure they have that alignment between the stakeholders and making the products, making sure that the products are impactful. Those are our main pieces that we look at. Now, in terms of the key responsibilities, it's up to us to help tell the story or tell the vision, right? So as product managers, we have to tell that vision, and also defining that strategic roadmap. So that roadmap is basically it's what are the stops along the way of the map that we have to follow. We want to get from point A to point B. Point A is the problem. Point B is the solve of the problem and the introduction of that product to the masses. And does it solve it or not? But what are those stops along the way? That's that product roadmap that we do. And we gain that by talking with some of our stakeholders as well as talking with our customers directly. That's how we gain what makes priority and what's not. We also have to collaborate across teams. So, one of the things that I say is my superpower is translation, but it's also just being able to talk amongst other roles within the organization because they won't work for you, right? They don't
Right.
work underneath you, but you still have to get things done through them. So it's really
Right.
getting buy-in from everyone and bringing everybody on board and then kind of pointing us all in the same direction.
Yes.
And then, why does it matter? We influence the success of the product. We are the CEO of our product, right? So, yeah, really talking with the CEO and the C-suite level, understanding what their goals and what the company goals are and the company visions and how we can make them come to life. Knowing the difference between tactical and that customer first approach. So, yes, the company has to reach its goals, but if the customer's not happy, they won't keep coming back. So, that's kind of how I would kind of sum up the role of a product manager.
Right, amazing. A lot of questions might come up there, but I think because today's agenda is about cracking interviews. So now that you mentioned what a product manager really does, what do you think interviewers look for?
I think what viewers are looking for is they want to make sure that they can understand what impact you're going to bring to their organization in a very short period of time, right? They don't have a lot of time. They got a lot of applicants. They got a lot of people, to talk to. So a lot of times, if you can, they'll ask you questions that are more open-ended. And as you have those questions asked, and a lot of times you may have, multiple questions, and then you might have multiple layers of interviews. But understand that it's up to you to ask those clarifying questions up front to make sure that when someone asks you a question about something, if you don't fully understand it, or if you need time to kind of like gather your thoughts, asking that clarifying backup question is very, very important because that also tells the interviewer that you're um, thinking beyond just answering the question. So that, because really what interviewers are looking for and what companies are looking for is they want to hire thinkers, right?
Yeah.
They want to bring in the
Mhm.
people that are going to have that vision. So making sure that you have that strategic vision. You also show that you can prove that you have analytical skills. So they're not looking for yes people. They don't want to hear yes to
Mhm.
everything. That's actually the worst thing you can do as a product manager is to say yes to everything because that's how priorities and scope creep and things that really start to not hit the target of where you're trying to get to. Um, and being able to talk to your user base and really be able to look at the market that you represent, gather data, but really show the data when you go to present it in an understandable way. So yeah, I think that's the big core of what folks are looking for during the interview.
Got it. So what else? Like, let's say, of course, you mentioned, we should be customer focused and It should be adaptability. So if you can just highlight on these as well.
Yeah, I think making sure that you bring out the fact that you've worked with multiple teams, you've worked across teams, making sure that you bring out that you are a team player, you're there to make sure that the whole team wins. These are things that are going to exude your leadership. And also, they may ask you a question like, describe a conflict that you were presented with and how you got out of that conflict, right? I can tell you successes in my career, and I can also tell you failures in my career. And most of the failures came down because I wanted it more than everybody else. And that's not what you want in product management. It's definitely you want to be able to capture what everybody wants and kind of bring it all together. And then that's exuding leadership, right?
Yeah.
That customer focus and prioritizing the pain points, really understanding what are the pain points of your user and really getting to know the user. We had a policy in our software where when the founder first started the software, he had the developers sit in a hair salon and take customer names and put their tickets in so they could kind of feel it, right? That's how you're going to feel that customer focus, right? So as a product person, you have to get out into the field and really understand who you're trying to serve. From an adaptability perspective, it's not going to always go your way. That I can guarantee
Mm.
you.
Mm.
And you're going to need more time. So you're never going to have enough time, and you're never going to have the ability to solve all problems. So
Yeah.
really prioritization and scoring and understanding what is important and what do you want to focus on, that it shows that adaptability, but you can't, again, some of my not successes in my career came when I wanted something more than everybody else. And so if I wasn't adapting, I was just going to dig in my heels, then that's where failure starts to creep in. So yeah, you
Yeah.
have to remain adaptable.
Got it. Got it. So now that we know what skills someone should possess, how does one prepare for interviews and uh, just generally cracking a product manager job?
Yeah, I think we have to remember that we're product managers already. We just don't have the influence to back it up. So if you think of all the products you use on a daily basis, you
Mhm.
can think of ways to improve those products. So if somebody asked you a question on, how would you improve YouTube, for example,
Yeah.
um, you should have an understanding of where is it failing, where are some things you can fix. If you're like for myself, I've done some Uber and some Lyft driving, as kind of but I approached it as a product manager, right? What's wrong with the app? What's wrong with the service? What do people like about it? What do they not like about it? And really approach it from that perspective. So I would say just remember that you're already in that mindset. You just maybe don't realize it. And as far as aligning that experience, what's the thing that you're passionate about? And then if you can find that, and then is there a product in that industry of the thing you're passionate about, or a problem, excuse me, and then is there some problem that you can solve? So that's if you're starting kind of entrepreneur from scratch kind of thing. But maybe it's, hey, I want to work at Google. Well, if I want to work at Google, then I need to understand Google. I need to really, fully understand their culture. I need to understand all the things about them and really go after it. And staying current, making sure that you understand the trends, you understand the tools. You don't have to be an expert in everything, but you have to be willing to learn things quickly and
Hmm.
not get bogged down or caught up in the details because things will come if you pursue, doors will open. If you have that clarity, you're going to be able to run towards it, right? And you'll get that growth and that will breed that leadership. That's some of the things I do in my coaching practice is really, really, focalpoint303.com. I don't know if we can put that in the chat, but focalpoint303.com is my coaching practice. And what I do in there is really work with entrepreneurs and business owners. And, we talk about interviewing, and we also talk about, what are things that they're going to need in order to grow. And you have to have that clarity. That's number one.
Right. Got it. Let me just quickly share that link. If anyone, want to take a look at it. Yeah.
Yep. And
Great.
it and it we focus on hair salons and spas and barbershops, but the content itself it works for all. So
Hmm. Understood. So how does one really navigate common scenarios or common questions that someone might face, like say a case study or behavioral questions or technical discussions, whatever they are?
yeah, I think you first have to you practice right before you go in. So like when you're talking about case studies, I Google a lot. I Google a lot and I watch a lot of YouTube. And I can tell you that if you ask that question inside of YouTube, you're going to come back with some of those answers of those case studies. So even asking the question that says, you know, in my industry that I'm going after, so in my case, in the salon industry, what are some of the case studies that are already existing? And so just by versing yourself in those, that will help you to have that conversation. So if your industry is, tech, or if your industry is any number of different ones, you want to kind of really drill down and find out what are the cases that have already been proven. And the more you know, then you can kind of quote those cases. But you can also do your own case studies. Like what I do is currently I'm interviewing people in the industry and really trying to gather that information so that I can say at the end of the day, hey, I surveyed this many people. I found that these are the pain points and I feel like this is the solution. So having those case studies and really understanding that that's important. Behavioral questions, so situation, task, action, and result. It's really just you know stacking your experiences and really saying, okay, could I tell a story in that manner? And how quickly can I tell it? And this is where when you do, if you ever do drive for Uber or Lyft, not plugging them, I'm just saying that it's a good way you're going to get new people in every single ride is a new person. You can
Mhm.
have that conversation and you'll never see them again. So you're so it's that repetition of those stories and how well you can tell them. You can look at them and say, did I engage them? Did they stay engaged in the story? Did it make sense? Was I able to keep them on board? And then as far as technical discussions, whatever your industry is, making sure that you at least have enough technical information from that. You've done enough research where you can have a conversation. So you don't know how to you don't have to know how to code, but you do have to understand and you can have a developer explain this to you, like what is the structure of the software or what are the things that happen and kind of take note because as you learn those then you can have those technical discussions, and then product vision, it's just, again, it's like what does life look like a year from now, 18 months from now, 5 years from now? And if you can articulate that, that's the life of the product. Where will it be? That's product vision. So having those pieces and being able to articulate that is huge. But during an interview, you can ask the question, so when you talk about product vision, this is what it means to me. Can you tell me a little bit more about what it means to you? So you can ask the interviewer to gather more info for you as well so that you can respond accordingly.
Understood. Understood. Right. So I think we are pretty much done. So if let's say we've got questions to specific questions, scenarios that you faced, concerns that you faced, you can put them on the Q&A box and let us know whatever you want to get answered. But we've got one question from Michael that says, how would you characterize a difference between business analyst and a
Mm.
product owner? So the one commonly operates, I mean, they commonly operate in each other's space. What would you, what would your focus be in preparing for one versus another?
Yeah, so I was a business analyst for a while with one of our major customers, and and I was fortunate enough to work around other business analysts. So I would say to me, the biggest difference between a business analyst and a product owner is the product owner will have the ability to make more decisions than the analyst, where the analyst is really going to gather and present information, right? So the analyst is the translator. The analyst is the one that establishes the gap between where we're at and where we need to be. where the product owner is more like the solution side of things of saying like, okay, we understand the gap. Now here's where I see are the things we need to um, do to fix the gap or to close the gap. And then by interviewing people on the team and really getting their information, then you can make adjustments there. Because again, at the end of it, yes, there's a product owner, but it's kind of like the company owns the product, right? So it's really
Mm.
pulling those two together. So the difference to me is one's a decision maker and one is more of a translator slash gatherer of information. So I think the product owner would actually benefit from starting as a business analyst to bring that into product ownership. So.
Understood. And okay, I hope that answers your question, Michael. Akshit has a question. What skills would you recommend to a customer support person to gain? Oh, okay. So this person is in a customer support function and they want to become a product manager. What would you recommend? What kind of skills should this person gain? Of course, I think we did highlight this, but yeah, I think you can
Yeah. So
discuss.
as a customer support person, I think that's also a very good path into product management because
Yeah.
you're seeing the issues that come in. So I would say, as whatever the formats of the way you do your ticketing and what the way, if you solution orient the ticket, workarounds are huge. Being able to give the client something today, right now, that can solve their problem. Like in our world, when, so clients are waiting there to pay and there's a ton of everybody standing around because the system doesn't work and they're on the phone with technical support. If you're on the other end of that and you have the ability, or you've been given the autonomy to say, yep, you can go ahead and let them go. We'll take care of the payment afterwards, et cetera, et cetera. But then taking that back to the ticketing portion of it, telling them what you did, and then maybe even making a few suggestions on how you might improve it. So staying involved in the product process, I think
Mhm.
that's the best way to kind of get in and start to build those relationships with product managers and then carry that over into that. So by taking the Simplilearn course, with the University of California, San Diego, that course is definitely a way to do it. Get some credentials underneath you.
Yeah.
Um, that always definitely helps.
Yeah, I think we'll come to the course just in a bit, and we have one more question from Jay. He says, "How do we deal with?" Okay, so this Jay has, majorly experience in being a
Mhm.
project manager, and little but significant experience as a senior business analyst in a product-based company. So I think he wants to understand what he can do in order to become a product manager here and how he can position himself in
Mhm.
interviews. How does he do that?
Yeah, so I went back and got my undergrad certificate in project management because I believe that a product manager that has project management experience and background, got my Six Sigma and Lean Six Sigma as well.
Mhm.
Being able to bring that to product management. I always explain it as project managers are the when. When is it going to be done by? When can I expect it? When, they handle the timeline and the resources,
Yeah.
and getting those things, responsible for getting those things scheduled. Whereas the product manager is more about the what,
Mm.
so in terms of the what, it's like, what do we need? Like, what do we need to do? What is the problem and what is the solve that's needed?
Yeah.
Right. So then it's the
Yeah.
how, we hand that off to developers and we allow the development team to come back with the how. And so having that significant experience in the business analyst role, I think that that gives you that that background to draw off of. And so it's kind of like, now that you think of it, like now that you've analyzed it, what needs to happen and what is the solve and what is the problem. So it's taking it to that one step further and then
Mm.
just being available to be in as many of those type of decision type meetings that you can, even if you're just say, hey, I want to be a fly on the wall and sit in on the meeting. It allows you to also understand, who's in charge when it comes to product and how are they running the department and what are the procedures that they use and how can I start speaking that language. So really it's being aware of what's being spoken already and trying to bring that in. But the hardest thing as a project manager going into product management would be switching from the when to the what. So
Uh,
really making sure that you understand that, yeah, the whole thing's my responsibility, but creation and logging of ideas and determining what ideas are good ideas and bad ideas, and ideas can come from everywhere. They don't all have to come from the product manager, but being able to trade that off. Mhm.
mhm, yeah. So before we proceed, I think I'll just quickly highlight about the course that James was mentioning. Now, remember some of you said that you don't have the right set of skills, or you would want to like upskill yourselves. This is where the course really helps. So one is you have the UCSD Extended Studies Advantage on, you have that credential on your resume, and along with that, you get a lot of hands-on learning, not just in terms of understanding how products are built, but also in terms of looking at case studies, looking at pod cases from Harvard, Business Review. So you also have, you learn a lot of product management tools, like say Google Analytics. You understand how to use Jira, you understand how to use Figma, and of course, how you can leverage AI in product management. So while we're on the subject of hands-on learning, so maybe James, if you can just highlight uh, just an example of how one understands, how does one go about a project in the course, because you mentioned you also teach these courses. So how do these projects really work?
Yeah, so what I like about the curriculum and the way that it's laid out is
Mhm.
it starts off very light, and over time it's all building up to checkpoints within the course. And so I think that as we build up, one of the things that I've gotten the most feedback, what people like about the courses, is we do group projects and we
Mhm.
break out. And so we do breakouts. And so you also learn from each other.
Right,
So
right.
basically, we don't like, it's not all about whatever I can teach you and you're going to learn everything from me. It's really about what can I learn from you also.
Mhm.
And there's times where there's sections of the curriculum that I might not have as much experience as some of the people within the course, and I'll ask them to tell the course, their feedbacks, and then that allows me to also interject and drive the conversation. But learning is evolutionary; it's going to always happen, and so it you have to be careful when you approach it, that you don't approach it like closed-minded. You want to keep it open-minded. And there's a ton of talented people in tech, and making sure that we are the people that drive the innovation of tomorrow. That's huge, right? So product management is definitely that. When I got started in there wasn't even like a lot of certifications and things that you can do. It was really me finding out. So the fact that this course exists, if I would have had that, when I first started out, I think I would have greatly, greatly benefited from it. But yeah, so I think ultimately the thing that is great about the course is like throughout it is just the amount of sharing that happens, and there's really some camaraderie that's formed, even though it's online, right? I mean,
Yeah.
nowadays being online, we can really gather more of that close-knit feel.
Right. Um, so since you were mentioning about how the curriculum is shaped, so not exactly the detailed overview of what happens in each module, maybe just just a quick layout, or an overview of how these modules are ordered, or structured. That would really help.
Yeah, yeah. So we start with induction and introduction to product management. So
Mhm.
it's really just kind of scratching the surface and letting people know kind of what it is to be a product manager, but also kind of what's the mindset that's needed, right? And then we go from there, we go into building the key assets. And so those key assets are things like, if I'm creating something, I have to have an asset. And as I build those assets, I have to bring those together, right? And so maybe they're screenshots, maybe they're IP, maybe you're doing something specific to any one industry. So these are all the things that are going to drive the product, and also some of the tools that are there. You can use those tools in order to do strategies. So you mentioned Jira, very very solid product management tool. AHA, another very solid product management tool, and actually comes from project management. And so a lot of these you'll find, especially if you come from a project management background, is a lot of the terminologies and a lot of the things that you'll be doing will fall into place here because they do run neck and neck. But once you have that strategy, you kind of know how long it's going to take. And you can't do that without planning. So you have to have that product planning. That's our next course. Understanding like how am I going to plan a product? What are some other, we watch YouTube videos in the course too. Like what are some of the other folks like how are they doing their procedures and how are they putting together their product? Spotify, we go through a Spotify analysis where we look at how they run their development teams.
Yeah.
And the first time I saw that, my jaw dropped. I mean, it was like you think you know a lot, and then you see that, and you just go, "Wow!" And so, really, we look at other successful companies, and then you start to build your own product, right? So inside of that, we get into a group. We start to do prototypes, and we start to learn things. We work with Figma, and one of the things Figma can do is it can create a working prototype.
Yeah.
We when we were doing it, we were using Microsoft Paint and PowerPoint, to create the presentations and make something look like it's doing what it's supposed to do when you're designing a feature. But it's a prototype. So we get into that during it. We also do hypothesis validation. So yet when you start off, you say, "Hey, I think that this problem exists. I think that this should be the way we solve it." Well, that's a hypothesis. You're not going to know that until you go out into the field and show them what you've built and have them play with it and have them come back. And that's where you're going to find whether or not you can validate your hypothesis or not. The agile development process. So agile, it's almost the way that all things are done. I mean, there are industries out there that still use a waterfall. We talk about the difference between waterfall and agile. So in the waterfall world, I call it like the ta-da. It's like you do everything and then you like do the big unveil and you say ta-da. And so on the agile piece, it's iterative. It's constantly changing, constantly getting feedback, gathering feedback, and working through that. And then, like I said, we do the building prototypes. So once I have that hypothesis and I have the agile development process down, now I can start build the prototype. So I start getting feedback. And then we start talking about analytics. So analytics are going to be like your Google Analytics. There are many other tools out there that do analytics. But it's important that we understand where does the user click? What's the workflow that the user does? What are the different things that they do during the use of the software and where they spend all their time? Is there like, are they getting to the point where they're ready to make the sale and they can't? If you're using like a website analogy, really those analytics are the only things that are going to tell you what's happening with your user base. Then we go into the fundamentals. So the business fundamentals are going to be more like just understanding, we have to sell something in order to be in business.
Yeah.
It's making sure that you know that it has to equate to a sale, right? And then we have a break there, and that's at course 12, and then we do the portfolio assessment. And so we've done everything up to this point, and we've done assignments, and we've done things that are all going to, when you stack them together, they're going to build into this portfolio assessment. And so the whole idea is once you build into that, now you have something that you can take with you. You can begin to create your own assets to be able to show as part of your resume process. And then once we're done there, we get into the user experience. So we dabble in a little bit of UX. That's a whole career in itself to be a UX designer and someone that's only working through UX. And so we kind of give you a taste of that, and then you can kind of
Mm.
decide do you want to go further because Simplilearn offers additional classes associated with UX. But again, as a product manager, you do need to understand the UX, that experience side of things as well. And then we get into design. So the design of product managers. And so we look at the product design. How are we designing it? Did we get the right information for the right types of technology for our stack that we're doing? Where do we gather it? Who on the development team or the tech side of things made those decisions? Are they giving us the fruits that we expect them to give us? And then from there, we start to dabble in a little bit with software development, right? So we touch on the software development because again, as a product manager, you don't have to know how to develop, but it definitely helps to have that discussion so you can kind of tell, working with your developers, how long is this going to take? how big is this initiative? We talk in hours, days, and weeks on my team. But there's also t-shirt sizes, there's multiple ways that you can measure. But the more you know about software development, it's easier to
Mhm.
have that discussion, right?
Yeah.
And then we go through product management tools. We talk about the different ones that are there. And then we end with a big capstone project. So the capstone project, all of those things up together create this capstone project. And so you have a process that our learning system goes through that shows your progress. You're getting certificates through every course. So every course is giving you a certificate. And then those all roll into one big certificate. From there, it's once that's completed and you've met the criteria, it opens up the certificate from, in this case, the University of California, San Diego. So
Right. So that's how the certificate looks like. And, I think James has already explained how this course is going to help you bridge that gap. But, James, I think one common question that some of them couldn't ask or maybe would want to ask you is how do they really use this credential and kind of, approach interviewers or recruiters and, get that advantage in an interview? So, how do you think that will happen?
yeah, I think, you know, social media presence matters, right? We're in an
Mhm.
age where social media presence matters. Having a
Right.
LinkedIn page,
Got it.
putting your resume on LinkedIn, basically it's kind of telling people what you've done, what are your certificates. So it's really that's where you can showcase it. And then, maybe when you put together, if you're doing press kits or depending on how you're finding these roles, whether you're using LinkedIn's job finder or Indeed or Monster or all of these different pieces. Um, when you send in the resume, if you can have it listed that you have the certification. If, you want to frame it, put it on your wall and have it behind you when you're doing the interview so they can see that you have it.
Mhm.
All of these things can benefit during an interview.
Understood.
I like to have it on LinkedIn. And sometimes if you're chatting with the hiring manager, maybe, on LinkedIn or something, you might, you know, accidentally show them, basically just kind of bring it up. But yeah, I think they matter. But what matters more than anything else is your personality and your perseverance. And really, Are you fun on the interview? Are you knowledgeable on the interview? Does
Yeah.
the interviewee have things to talk about when they leave? That really matters more than the actual certificate, but the
Right.
certificate helps to enforce that you do know the information.
Got it. All right. So we've got a question from Subrata here who says, okay, he's in the hospital operations. He's an hospital operation head. So he wants to understand how he can upskill. I mean, not upskill exactly, but how can he become a product manager?
He works where?
He works in hospital operations, like the
Okay.
non-clinical side of hospital.
Yeah, if I was in that environment, I think where I would begin to look, if we're not talking like, invention level, because if you're in that and you do an invention, you're able to talk about the invention. Um, but if you can also look at, what's the software that's used for the patient software,
Yeah.
um, and then begin to, kind of establish the relationship with the vendor and kind of go that route. Um, if the hospital has products that it endorses and it puts out, how do you get involved in those teams? It really, because remember, product management can be physical product, it could also be software. It can be a number of things. So, yeah, I would start by asking those types of questions. Like ask yourself the question like, okay, so I want to be in product management.
Mm.
So what product management do I want to be in? Do I want to be in like work on a software team? Do I want to
Right.
work on someone that builds TVs? Like, where do I want to be? And then from there, begin to go down that road and start to kind of like form your contact group around that industry and really pursue it. But I will tell you, even as being a business coach and being in the industry as long as I have been and being in the salon industry for 30 plus years, I can tell you the more you niche down on what you want to do, It sounds like it's going to be tough because you're going more and more what they would call pigeonhole, right? But
Ah,
the niche down is really what gets you because then they say, oh, well, I need this or that. Oh, yeah, I remember that one person. They talked about that. Yep, let me call them up or let me look them up on social media. So
mm,
I hope that helps.
yeah, got it. Okay. Yeah, I hope that helps, Shubhrata. We've got another question. Oh, okay. So you mentioned a phrase called
I
t-shirt
think
sizing.
we're seeing an upload screen or something there. Is that what we're looking at? I think we lost our
Yeah,
slideshow.
that's right.
And I think there's a question in the chat.
Chat, yes. So yeah, we're back to the deck. Yes, so the question, or maybe I don't think we need the deck anymore. So the question says we're looking at t-shirt sizing. So
Mhm.
uh, I mean, is that phrase has become common nowadays. So what does it exactly mean?
Yeah, t-shirt sizing came out because people all understand what a t-shirt large, medium, small. Like they understand that. But it's the piece that doesn't ever get explained is you do have to have some sort of translation to time. So that's where the project management side comes in, right? I have to know, like, that's why I always use days, hours, days, weeks. So half a day, full day, 2 days, 5 days. And it doesn't always equate to the fact of, you know, let me add more people, therefore I'll
Yeah.
get it done sooner. So really it comes down to like a lot of things. So think of it like a t-shirt. If as a team or as an organization, you agreed that a small t-shirt is anything that can be done in 2 days, right? That would be a
Mhm.
small t-shirt. If but you have to all agree on it, right? So it's not like it's set in stone. It's going to be separate by organization.
Yeah.
And then medium, same thing. Maybe it's a little bit bigger. And then large, same thing. The reason why they use t-shirt sizes is it makes the conversation faster and
Mm.
you don't lose the information from the conversation. So um,
Correct.
we use a lot of words. And so the more words that we use, the longer it takes to communicate. So if you could say, well, how long is that? Well, they mark small, medium, or large. Small. Okay. Now you can also do points so that you can say as a sprint, if I have a sprint team and the sprint lasts, let's say 2 weeks, just for easy math, and the team all agrees to the things they're going to do. The only way they can agree to the things they're going to do in that sprint is that they have an idea of how large each of the efforts are within each ticket. So if we have t-shirt sizing in place, we know if, like I said, I think I said 2 days equals a small, then if I have five smalls, then I got 2 days on each one. That's where the team has to decide, like, I don't think we're going to deliver that on time. We can do these 5 things, but we can't do the sixth thing. Which thing do you want us to do? Which 5 out of 6 do you want us to do? You can't even have that conversation if you don't have something like t-shirt sizing to talk about.
Right. Got it.
Mhm.
All right. I think we're pretty much done with answering questions here. So we're also glad to see some people who are interested in taking up the course. Now, remember, some of you asked about the fee of the course. I'm going to share the link to the course page here on the chat for you to look at. Remember, the course fee will obviously be different from what I show you on the screen. So what you see on my screen would be, in Indian rupees. So you can just open the link and then find the course fee, find financing options that are available in your region. And, if you've answered a yes on the poll, you'll be reached out by a learning advisor. Okay, right. So with that, let me also quickly ask you how you enjoyed and learned, from how much you learned from today's session. So let us know through this, just a quick rating. Just let us know through this. One sec. Yeah. I've we've seen a lot of people have said a yes. How much does this cost? Okay, Vikas, I'm just going to tell you this in Indian rupee, but if you live outside India, yeah, so this comes to about 2 lakhs in Indian rupees, and with installment options, it'll come to about 9,000 a month. You can enroll or given your applications before the 25th of January for the upcoming cohort. Um, but yeah, I think I would suggest you reach out to a learning advisor through the course page if you have any more questions about the course fee or the enrollment steps. But the general process is that you fill in a short application form and then you send out the application. You are reached out by the admissions panel. Let's say you actually are eligible. Okay. So, yeah, coming back to the rating poll here, just give us a rating based on whatever you feel. And yes, whatever you'd
Thank
like
you.
to see next, maybe in in the product management category, or yeah, great to see some compliments already. Okay, James really knows his stuff. Okay.
Well, thank you.
All right, thanks for that. Yes, it was indeed an insightful session. Glad that a lot of you were able to learn from this. Yes.
Yeah, and if you sign up for the course, I mean, we'll take it even further. I mean, it's
Yeah.
been really excited to be a part of this course, and it's been a great curriculum.
Exactly. So James, I think you'll see James in the course as well. And like James mentioned, so there will be a lot of interactive learning. It's not going to be something that's, one-sided. There will be a lot of interaction with your peers, with the trainers. That's how the course is structured. Okay, great. Glad to see a lot of you giving us a 5. And yeah, I was just looking at responses from previous webinars, but anyway, I will definitely look at responses from this one as well. Course cost, Marissa, again, if you're living in India, the course cost is close to 2 lakh Indian rupees with installment options. It might come to anywhere between 8,000 to 9,000 rupees a month with the providers that we have. But again, if you're outside India, I would suggest you open the course link and check the course fee in your region. That might change, and also the discounts might change. So what you see on my screen today, which is why I didn't share the course page. So what you see on my screen, the same discount code or coupon might not be available in your region. So it's best that you actually talk to a learning advisor about this. Okay. Now the much awaited poll for webinar certificate. So quick point for all of you here, make sure you enter your full name, not your email ID or your device name, so that we're not searching for your name and looking for your name from your email ID. Just make sure you enter your full name just like how you would want it on your certificate, and maybe you can also share it on social media and tag James there. Yeah, and probably share what you learned as well. Let's see if we've got more questions.
Yeah, and on all my social media, I'm usually either under James Rowe 303 or Focal Point 303. And then Facebook, it talks a little bit about my rap career, but we'll leave that for another webinar.
Oh, okay, yeah, interesting.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So someone said hospital operations. So I was just kind of, I mean, that's exactly how you transitioned from, owning a salon. I mean, you trying to
Working
like,
with it.
yeah, yeah, exactly, becoming a product manager. So might inspire a lot of them. So I'm just sharing James's profile here on chat for anyone to connect with him, reach out to him for anything. But just make sure your questions are relevant to becoming a product manager, right? Okay. So in
And
case,
I'll put this one in. That one's kind of fun. That adds to it.
yeah, it has to be relevant. I mean, just hope that they don't spam you in.
They can. They can. Feel free.
Can, of course, but
We'll make it work.
yes. All right, cool. So great to see some responses on webinar certificate as well. So you guys will receive the certificate tomorrow, latest by tomorrow evening India time, which is, yeah, in the next 24 hours at least. Yeah. What I'm
Oh,
going to do
can I
is,
ask one more thing before we do? Because
Yes,
I'm in the middle of this contest with Entrepreneur of Impact, part of Forbes magazine. So I'm gonna throw one more link in there, a shameful plug, if that's okay. Can I do that?
of course you can. Would you
Okay,
want us to vote
yeah,
for
because
you?
yeah, absolutely. You can vote once a day. It's I was high up, then it starts to drop, and there's donations in there. You don't have to give a donation. It can be free, but the donation is for a charity, but it's for votes. Um, did it go in?
Yeah, it
Uh,
did. It did.
And
It
there it
did.
goes. Yeah.
Yes, the
So if you
links are
click
on
on
the
that,
chat.
you can vote there. You can do once a day. But yeah, help if I win, then there's a cash prize that'll go towards my practice, and I'll get a one-on-one with Damon John, who's like a shark from Shark Tank, if anybody watches Shark Tank. So,
Oh,
and it'd be
wow.
in Entrepreneur magazine. So Forbes.
Amazing, James. I really hope you win because about the course, about I think we did explain the curriculum in depth about what tools you will learn. Okay, again, I'm just going to share this link once here on the chat. So if you open the course page, let me share my screen. So there is a section where you can download the program syllabus and understand all the details about the course. This is when the application closes. The course is 8 months long, and we took you through the curriculum, tools that you will learn hands-on, and also the projects that you'll be doing. Yes, and we mentioned that, of course, James is the trainer for this particular program as well. Now, the other features that you see here, the Job Assist program, which is done in the US, it's with Talent Inc. With in India, it's with IM Jobs. So we help you write, draft a resume, help you, with interview practice, and also give you a pro membership free for 6 months so that your profile is highlighted. So that's what we offer. This is again not a job guarantee of sort, it's just job assist. Yes. So you can also take a look at the cohorts, the upcoming cohorts. Is the next one is on the 15th of February. And of course, the curriculum of this course is evolving. So what you see today might not be the case end of the month. So just keeping you informed there as well. Okay, so Marissa has a question. James, is there a voting option on your LinkedIn? Okay. Where can I get my certificate? Jivesh, you will have to answer the poll question, which unfortunately I've closed. So I'm texting you, just giving you an email ID. Please make sure you give your full name and your email ID to that particular email, and then we'll give you the certificate. So unfortunately, I closed the poll because a lot of you had already answered. Okay,
I
thanks
think the next
everyone.
question they have is whether or not they can request specific trainers.
Oh, okay. Amazing.
So is that
Right.
I think that's Big Shot's Vikash's question.
Sorry.
Vikash had a question in the chat where he asked, am I going to be the trainer or mentor if you take this course? So are they able to request like if they can request which course that they want to be in my course?
So if they take this particular course, which is what the poll is for, so if
Mhm.
they've answered yes on the poll, it will be for this course, the UCSD product management course, and obviously you are the trainer there. So
There you go.
yeah. But there are other courses in this particular, I mean, in the product management category. So let's say someone wants to choose another one, that would obviously have another trainer. But of course, the poll that we launched for today was for the, the course that you are the trainer for. Okay,
Awesome.
with that, just a quick thing. We also have another webinar coming up on data analyst interviews. Today we did product manager, another one on Monday coming up about data analyst. So you can kind of register for this webinar here. I've left the link on the chat, and we'll see you there as well. Thanks, James, for your time today. It was
You.
amazing hosting you, listening to you, and also listening to your advice. I hope the learners take these insights and, put them to good use. Any other closing thoughts that you have, James?
No, I would encourage everybody to follow their dreams, and if even if you take a course and you don't use it later, it doesn't matter because it's all part of who you are. So I would just encourage everybody to just follow that and achieve that clarity. And once you have the clarity, then you can move into whatever realm you would like. So,
Yeah, yeah, that's great. All right. So I think we'll call it a day with this. I'll see you in an other session. And also thanks, James. Hope to see you in more such webinars. And also, I hope these learners actually enroll in the course and, get a chance to interact with you more closely. Okay.
yep. And thank you,
Jivesh,
Arpano. You did a great job.
thank you. Thank you, James. So, Jivesh, I have given you an email ID. Just why I keep telling you guys to post the question on the Q&A box. I've given you an email ID. Please email us your details there. Okay. Yeah, great. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time. Was glad hosting you as well. Bye bye. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.